What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Universal Mastery. Welcome back to my public YouTube channel. Now, what exactly is going to be the subject of our today's video? We are specifically going to be talking about reincarnation and the truth that goes behind it. I'm going to be sharing some of the reasons as to why humans reincarnate in the first place, and also help you better understand where you are now and why potentially you're experiencing what it is that you are based on the concept of reincarnation. If this is information that you want to uncover a little bit deeper, then you have one thing to do, and that is simply to stay tuned. I will see you on the other side. Okay, so let's go into it. So here we go. So we're talking about reincarnation. The concept of when you die, you can enter into another life, whether that be a human life. That's most commonly what we refer to when we say the word reincarnation. We typically will think, oh, if I die, then I reincarnate again as a human. But there are other forms of reincarnation that can happen on different planetary spheres where you don't necessarily reincarnate as a human being again. You could reincarnate into what we would consider an alien, an extraterrestrial, something that we don't fully understand yet, on a whole different planet. That is possible and that does happen. But the majority of people, when they pass, are going to reincarnate back as a human being. But let's further uncover this subject. So yes, right out the gate, clearly, reincarnation is an actual thing. It is absolutely real. The soul and the spirit are completely immortal, which means it lives throughout time and existence for infinity. And as it exists, it has one purpose, and that main purpose is to consistently grow, to consistently evolve, to consistently learn and move closer to the source that generated it. We're all moving together on this same journey, but just on, we could say, different paths to this source energy. All of us, every being that exists in existence, okay? So yes, reincarnation is absolutely a real thing. Now, let's go a little bit deeper into the subject. So when it comes to incarnation, what happens just before you decide, I'm going to incarnate, is you're in a space where you have a much broader awareness of the bigger picture. I like to use that word, the bigger picture, because in that space, before you take on a physical body, you are in a more so astral space. You're in a more so pure, formless energy space that can, if it wants, produce form, but doesn't need to produce form because the density or the dimension that it's in is so high. And this is where we all truly go to essentially have a nice overview on where it is that we're wanting to incarnate ourselves. So let me try to really explain this in a way that makes sense. Before you become an incarnate human being, you are in a specific energy body that is a part of you. As the beings that we all have, generally speaking, 7 different energy bodies. These energy bodies exist within different dimensions. So there's a specific energy body that you will enter into before you become physically incarnate as a human being. And in that other energy body, where you have a much bigger awareness of everything that's taking place, basically meaning the mechanisms of evolution. You can actually see into your future, you can see into your past, and clearly you can be in the present moment. So what happens is your own, we'll call it the higher self. Your own higher self gets to decide what it feels like and what it sees is your best next incarnation experience. Now, this process also takes place oftentimes with other entities that help, but just to keep it simple, generally speaking, before you become an incarnate human being, you do a nice overview over all the different potentials and different options based on your own likelihood for evolution. So you will scan different planets, you'll scan different species, you'll scan the most likely opportunity for you to learn the lessons that it is that you need to learn so that you can evolve into your highest potential. And this takes place when you're in a specific one of your energy bodies that exists in a higher dimension before you become carnate or incarnate into a lower dimension. Remember, we all have higher selves, every single one of us, that exists in a higher density, specifically the 6th density. Every single person has that version of themselves. Because remember, past, present, and future in the bigger picture from a higher dimension are all happening right now in this moment. It's all at once. So that literally means your past lives, your past selves are existing right now as we speak, just as your future lives or your future selves. And your higher self is the highest potential version of what you are going to become. And you will eventually become it, but it can take a long time. Some get there much quicker than others. So in this other body, you get to make a decision on what is the best opportunity for you to learn the lessons that are going to get you to your higher self when you do become incarnate. And everyone has to go through the densities, starting from density 1, going all the way up to density 8, in order to make it all the way back to the source. You can't skip in between densities. You can't jump from density 1 to density 3, from density 3 to density 5. You have to go through all the densities. So this is why we come into incarnative experiences, for example, as human beings. If someone asks the question, okay, well, if we have this other energy body that is in a higher dimension, then why do we come back to densities like Earth? Why do we come even into a physical body? Because it helps the soul polarize. It's basically like the training that you need to go through to become a professional athlete. In order to become a professional athlete, in order to reach the source, you have to go through the training. You have to go through the source experience, the source initiations. And that requires you to travel through the densities. It's just how evolution functions. It's a big system. It's a big mechanism. So once again, keeping it simple, right off the bat, you literally make a choice as to where you're going to be incarnate, as to what circumstances are going to be influencing you, and what type of life you're coming into. Literally, you make that decision. A higher version of you makes that decision. Maybe you're not conscious of right now, but it is you, and it makes a decision for you. So that alone right there tells us and proves, shows, communicates that nothing you experience in life happened for no reason. So let me give you an example. Let's say you feel like you're somebody that lives in unfortunate life experience, right? You feel like it's not fair because you happen to be born into this family that doesn't love you or doesn't care about you and wants the worst for you, okay? And you think it's not fair. Well, guess what? You chose to be with that family. As much as that can be hard to understand and hard to grasp, because Maybe you are using that as an outlet or as an excuse to just kind of escape from your life or escape from responsibility. I know that can be challenging, but you chose that life. A higher version of your own being literally brought you into that life to transmute that challenge into power and potential so that you can further get to your higher self. So this concept goes for everything. If you've ever wondered, okay, well, let's say, for example, somebody was born with a deformed arm. Let's say they don't have access to their right arm, right? And they were born that way. It's like there was nothing they could do about it. Well, guess what? That wasn't random. You don't need to feel sorry for that person. You don't need to look at that person and say, oh, that's a random, unfortunate circumstance. Like, I hope that doesn't happen to me. You can look at that person and you can realize, based on their own higher self, it decided, and this also comes into play with previous karma from other past lives, that that specific person needed to be born without access to their right arm. There was a reason behind it. There was a real meaning behind it. These things, the point I'm really trying to make is these things are not random by any means. And as I said, this is important to recognize, past life karma comes into play. So maybe, just maybe, let's say hypothetically, this is completely hypothetical, I'm making this up, but maybe let's say the person that's born into this life without access to their right arm, maybe in a past life, used to use their right arm and they did bad things with it, like maybe harming people. Maybe they hypothetically, maybe they used a weapon and they hurt somebody with their right arm, and that was the dominant arm that they would use. This is just an example. And then carrying that karma into the next life, they just happen to be born without a right arm. Now, that's just one way of looking at it, taking it from a past life where you made poor decisions and now you're born into a new life with no arm. But it doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be like the reason why you're born with some sort of disability or something in that nature is because you did something wrong or you did something bad in a past life. It doesn't have to do anything with that. It could literally just mean that your soul, your higher self, sees that it's necessary for you to have that disability in order to learn the lessons of wisdom, knowledge, understanding, and potential power. Turn it into power from the disability. Okay, so these things are super important to really grasp and really contemplate, especially when you look at your own life experience. In this moment as you're listening, I want you to really observe your own life and look at all the areas of your life where maybe you were like, why did this happen? Why was I put in this life experience with this type of people? Why did I experience this when I was growing up? And how come when I look around, I didn't see anybody else experiencing it? Why do I feel like I'm going through this? And why me and me? Why is this happening to me? Why are these things? Well, remember, you chose exactly where you were going to incarnate, and you chose all the different energetic circumstances that you were meant to be influenced by. So none of that truly is actually out of your control. Now, on a lower dimensional level, maybe you've lost touch of that awareness. Maybe you forgot that you created this life experience for yourself due to all the consistent programming that we have in our today's society, embedded within our matrix, designed to remove someone's concentration away from the true self. Of course, if you don't have a connection with the true self, you're not going to remember that you chose the life experience that you're living right now, even with the suffering you're going through, for evolutionary purposes. Because, at the end of the day, we're all meant to be magicians. And what magicians do is they transmute energy. They are alchemists. We're all alchemists. We're all connected to the magician archetype of the tarot deck. So alchemy only takes place when you're experiencing one energy and then turning it into the opposite. So how do you think you create satisfaction? How do you think you create happiness and joy, which is what we all truly want to experience? You have to go through negativity. You have to go through stress. You have to go through pressure. You have to go through those challenges, those dark challenges to transmute, alchemize into satisfaction, joy, happiness. Okay? So let me also break it down a little bit more. A great way that you can actually understand how your own higher self chose you to be incarnate when you did is by looking into your natal birth chart when it comes to astrology. I don't really care what system you use in regards to sidereal, tropical, or whatever other systems, because there's tons of them. But as long as you just grasp one of the systems and you start to look into it a little bit more, looking at your own natal birth chart is a screenshot of where all the planets and stars essentially were located when your higher self decided to incarnate you. So that moment is very significant. And for anyone that's here that understands astrology, you know we're all affected by the planetary energies. There is no escaping those influences. I don't care how much of a master you think you are, of spirituality and the occult. No one escapes the planetary influences because we are them. Okay, it's like saying, I can escape my emotions, or I can escape my unconscious mind. It's like you can't escape it. You can try to. You can pretend like you are, but then there's going to be a lot of disaster and a lot of destruction that's going to come from it because it's a part of you. I mean, we're born with an unconscious. We're born with emotions in these bodies. So it makes sense to recognize that and embrace it for what it is. Same with astrology, okay? All the different planets on your natal birth chart are exactly in a specific, nuanced position because at that moment in time, your higher self said, this is what we're coming in for. We are incarnating now because that now moment was the most highly likelihood that you could have incarnated into to get to your highest potential, even if that means you have really rough, challenging circumstances that you came into incarnation within. Even if that means your parents are treacherous, even if that means you just came into a life where it was broken, basically. Even if those things happened and it feels like it's not your fault and it feels like it shouldn't have happened to you, and you ask the big why me? Why is this happening? You chose it at some degree. It happened for a reason. And when you start to really become aware that nothing happens for no reason, you start to unfold the deeper mysteries that teach you there is no random energy at all within any form of existence. There is no such thing as random. Even within the ultimate primal chaos, it is so complex, it's so flexible, it moves in so many directions, but yet still there is a hidden pattern within chaos. And clearly in this density, I don't think we're going to uncover that hidden pattern fully, for sure. But maybe in a higher density, in a higher dimension, those patterns start to make a lot more sense. All right, that's why it's important to connect with your own higher nature, with your higher density self. Because although you might not logically be able to make sense of it, you can at least intuitively know what it is that you're going through is happening by divine law for a reason. And then you can better approach it and take advantage of it as an alchemist, as a transmuter. Okay? So once again, that is one of the big secrets of astrology connected to the concept of incarnation. It is your own natal birth chart that is the mapping point of what your own higher self decided when you're going to become incarnate. So clearly, doing some studying and doing some research on your own personal natal birth chart can give you a lot of clarity in regards to who you are, point you in the direction of your purpose, and also show you some of your low points, whether that's in the world around you or just internal low points. Okay, where do you naturally struggle? Where are the negative circumstances that are embedded within your energy field? Because those are the aspects of the self that need to be transmuted, need to be worked on. And there's this common myth in astrology, the mainstream community of astrology, that spends so much time trying to avoid and trying to dodge negative transits, or I am this sign, I'm this sign, and that means if you're this sign, then we don't get along. I don't want to be around you. Let me maneuver away from you. This big, Saturn transit is coming. Oh no, I gotta try to run away from it, or I have to escape it. I don't want to deal with it, whatever the case is. And this is a modern time myth for people who believe these types of things, because all those energies that you don't want to experience, all the signs that are opposite to your sign are where the lessons are. That's where the learning is. That's where the growth comes from. So how could you spend your entire life avoiding uncomfortability or avoiding what you think is bad because it makes you uncomfortable, because you think it's not a good feeling, right? How many people do you know that are in mainstream astrology that talk about that? This is a bad transit. Okay, I don't even like using those words. This is a bad transit. This is not going to be good. Rather, they should be communicating it as this is going to be a challenging transit, but make sure you're diving into it as deep as you can, because there's going to be so much gold to extract from that transit. Okay. Oh, I am this sign. Let's say, for example, I'm Leo and I don't get along with Cancer. So that means I should avoid that type of person. I'm not even going to try to date somebody who's a Cancer because we're just not compatible. Or maybe I can shift my perspective and I can say, all right, we are so opposite that clearly there are some things that I have to learn from your Cancerian perspective, just as you have things to learn about my Leo perspective. Okay, there's things I can learn from this experience rather than just saying, oh, well, we're not compatible, I'm out. That's pathetic, that's weak. Okay, so that's, a very important thing to understand. But once again, the main message that was intended to be a part of this video is the fact that incarnation is chosen by the self and other entities that are governing that process. And it is something that is not random by any means. It is when you become incarnate, you are doing every single time, you are doing it for a purpose. There is a reason behind it, and that reason is based in soul evolution. It's not like some entity is taking over your willpower and forcing you to incarnate into a life you don't want to live. That's bullshit. That is not what happens. Okay, trust me. It is your own choice. It's a higher version of yourself that really makes that decision, which is important to be in touch with so you can better understand why you are where you are and what you're going through, things of that nature. And once again, just recognizing that everything in your life is literally there for a reason. It's there by literally your own choice, no matter what you're experiencing, how much suffering, how much you feel like it's not fair, how much you've been taken advantage of. All those energies are there for a reason. Now, you do have free will, just like we all do. And if you make poor decisions based on free will, meaning you're living a life that is not in alignment with where your soul wants to take you, meaning you're using your logical, rational mind to fight against your intuition and fight against what your once again, voice of the soul is telling you is in your best interest. When you make those mistakes over and over and over again, hang out with the wrong people, abuse substances, run away from your unconscious, run away from facing from facing and feeling your own emotions. When you make those decisions over and over and over again, you are going to find yourself stuck. You're going to find yourself stagnant every single time. Okay? Because the only way you can start making that forward progression, the progression where you actually feel internally that you're doing something, like there's an actual satisfaction It's a spiritual satisfaction where you feel like you're moving. You feel like things are actually working out in your interest. The only way you can access that is when you start breaking those barriers of what your mind traps you in and what your rationale traps you in, and always listening to external influence and thinking that's always the truth, and because they did it, you should do it, or because your parents told you this is what you have to do now, or trying to even prove yourself. I'm going to live this life because I want to prove to them that I can be successful. It's like, but now you're living your whole life not living it for you. So you're not even you at that point. You're artificial. So, people can make decisions that keep them stagnant, and then all those challenging energies that they chose to incarnate into when they did incarnate, those energies get heightened. It just builds up. And then the person starts to crumble. They're like, I don't know what to do. It's too much. Why is it happening to me? Now I'm going to play the victim because so many other people are the victims. It's so easy to be a victim. So many people on the planet play this victim mindset, like, oh, the government's doing it to me. It's my boss at work. They're the ones that are doing it. It's like, that's somebody who's gotten to that state where they're breaking down and they're crumbling because they haven't been making the right choices. And they know that deep down. That's the funniest part. They know it truly to their soul's core, but they'll fight it. They'll resist it. That's the nature of the ego. But, so those energies can get overwhelming, and it can cause people to have mental breakdowns. It can cause people to develop really profound diseases and things in that nature. But if you were someone who's at that point or has gotten to that point, you can turn those situations around. You can transmute all that overwhelmingness by embracing the archetype of the fool and stepping into the unknown. Finally leave that fucking job that you hate so much and you're not learning anything from anymore. Move into the next experience, even though you're not going to be guaranteed finances or financial income right off the bat. You got to trust that the universe is going to guide you. It's those types of things that cause you to tap into that flow of evolution. But you have to step into it. Okay? And once again, when you do, you can start transmuting all the natural challenges that you've incarnated into potential, and you can start working on them and what's the word I want to use? Equalize the negatives and the positives. Okay? So with that being said, that's going to wrap this video up. I shared a lot. Definitely look over this video multiple times if you have to. I would recommend it. Really absorb it. Listen to understand. Don't listen just for a dopamine rush. Listen to understand. Listen to live. Okay, live these principles. It's power, and it will help you better serve yourself. All right, with that being said, if you enjoyed this video, come down here and hit the thumbs up button, because why would you not hit the thumbs up when I'm posting content like this, especially if you're getting value from it? All right, now come down here and hit the notification bell, because I post videos as often as I can, and clearly with information like this, you do not want to be missing out. So go ahead and get notified. Now also come down here and hit the subscribe button, because if you're not yet subscribed to my public YouTube channel, then you're making a very big mistake, because you could further be linking into the content by subscribing. There really is an energetic component that goes behind that. All right. Now, I'm going to take your awareness to a private Facebook community, which is in the YouTube description. Click it, click the little drop down, scroll down. You're eventually going to come across a link where you can literally see a private Facebook community. And when you click it, you can eventually request to join. In this private Facebook community, I have a host of individuals, about over 600 at this point, and people are posting there on a consistent basis tons of valuable information, just from stuff they've learned, their own experience, you name it. So if this is something that you want to gain access to, you now know exactly what you can do. All right, now I'm going to take your awareness to literally the most important link within the entirety of the YouTube description itself. This is the first link. You can't miss it. This is where you can join my Patreon. Now on my Patreon, I have an entire vault of exclusive occult content that at this point is basically like a secondary YouTube channel. except the difference is the content on there is going to be more valuable and more personal than what I'm posting here. Okay? I've recently changed the tiers up, so I'm just going to make sure that I'm saying this properly. For tier 1, you're gaining access to a bunch of different benefits. You get access to my live streams, things in that nature. And then exclusive content, very powerful content at that. Tier 2 is going to give you access to a magic training course, okay? The magic training course is designed to be for the beginner magician who's looking for a structure to follow to start developing their psychic capabilities. And that is exactly what it's meant for, and I would recommend for anyone who's looking for, you know, sort of like instructions to follow to develop some of those capabilities, okay? Then as you move into tier 3, this is what's known as the Universe.B Vampire Service. The Universe.B Vampire Service is a service that I perform on the 29th of every single month, and it's also the most popular service on my Patreon itself, and that's for a reason. That speaks for itself. This service is designed to completely change the energetic bodies of the participants to be more so Universe.B dominant. Essentially what that means is more so negatively polarized, service to self-oriented. What this does is this gives these individuals an ability to exist within the darker energy areas and locations of the multiverse itself without inherently getting harmed by them, but rather developing knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and potential power from them instead. Now, it also gives these individuals an ability to be more so receptive to their unconscious, subconscious minds, which is feminine in nature, dark feminine in nature. And it gives them a psychic capability to pull in energy from dark energy and chaos in the environment around them to ultimately transmute into their own power and evolutionary potential. And if you're someone who is a new participant, clearly you're going to receive the service and it's going to be brand new for you. But you can also be a recurring participant, which means every single month that you are tier 3, you are getting the service performed on you, furthering your negative polarity. And it is a powerful service. I've been doing it for over a year now, and I have gotten lots of valuable feedback from it, okay? If this is something that you want to gain access to, once again, tier number 3. Now, tier number 4 is a brand new tier that I recently just introduced to my Patreon as of yesterday. And this tier is everything else between all the other tiers, the vampire service, the live streams, the exclusive content, the training course, except the only difference for this top tier, tier number 4 now, is that there's a section called Psychic Predictions. Okay, so basically what that means is every single month, if you're one of these tier members, tier 4 members, then I'm going to be pulling a tarot card from my deck, the Night Sun, as well as one of my oracle cards. And I'm going to really be breaking down the card in as much depth as I possibly can. And then I'm going to be, overturning the oracle card, which also is going to have a secondary message to just bring some more clarity to the reading. And I'm doing this every single month for all the different zodiac signs. So if you're somebody who, let's say, is a Libra, then I would be doing a personal card reading for you as a Libra and everyone else who is a Libra to make sure that these readings are really confining themselves to the right person so that they can get the most out of it. And once again, I'm doing this every single month. And this is going to help you as the person who's receiving the reading to better navigate what that month is going to be like. So when I release the videos that are on the zodiac signs and pulling the cards, it's going to be earlier in the month when they're released, so that when you watch it, you can start to expect and predict to a degree what it is that you're going to experience, what it is that you're going to be going through, and things in that nature. Okay, so that is tier 4, and that's what you gain access to. All right, now with that being said, that's going to wrap that up. Once again, you can find all that information at the first link in the YouTube description, and specifically that last option was tier number 4. Okay, now we're going, well, let me say this first. Big shout out to everyone who is a Patreon member. I appreciate all of you very much, ladies and gentlemen, specifically for taking your knowledge, your practices, and your studies to that other side. Big shout out to all of you. Okay, now we're going into the second link below. You can't miss it, second link down. This is where you can book a very unique tarot card reading from me. This is a personal tarot card reading that I promise you've never received before. Now, in this reading, I literally can pinpoint exactly where you are on the Kabbalistic tree. I can tell you what you're feeling, experiencing, and going through in the present moment, and then what to expect moving into your near and your long-term future based on your positioning on that Kabbalistic tree. It's a very valuable reading. I've been doing this for over a year now. I've done well over 850 readings. I receive tons of valuable feedback, and I am getting booked more than I ever have before. So the prices are going to be going up in the very near future. So now is definitely the time to get your readings in while the prices are cheaper. But, you know, as I said, they will be going up in the near future. And if that's something you want to take advantage of, go ahead and book. Second link below. We'll leave it there. Now, also within that same second link below, you have an option now, which is a fairly new service as well, to book a one-on-one call with me. Okay, if you have more so personal questions in regards to your own journey and you want to ask somebody like myself, who's a professional occultist, to get my perspective on your circumstances or your questions and whatever else you might be interested in, then I would definitely recommend the one-on-one call. Check it out. Now, also within that same second link, there are mentorship options. I have mentorship for 6 weeks and I have mentorship for 3 months. Okay. So if you want to get mentorship, if you're somebody who's really taking your practices to that next degree, great for if you want to actually learn how to read tarot, as well as occult initiation, then these are options I would highly recommend. Okay, so all this information you can find within that second link below, and you can read through the different services and their descriptions. All right, we'll leave it there. Now, as you move into the third link below, this is where you can book, or not book. This is where you can join and become a YouTube member. Now, as you become a YouTube member, you're getting access to many different types of benefits, but most importantly, you're getting access to what I call the Psychic Warfare Emoji Program. So what this is a sequence of emojis that I've designed myself that are based on real occult principles. And you can use them in a specific configuration, link in the name of a target, hit enter, and it will actually cause psychic effects to that target of your choice. It's the most simple form of utilizing psychic warfare through the internet platform. There are about 2,000 posts where individuals have used this service already. There are people right now in this moment that are taking advantage of it. If this is something that you want to take advantage of for yourself, you can definitely do so. Click that third link in the YouTube description. Then it will take you to where you can join, and you'll have access. Okay? With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this is where I'm going to wrap it up. As I've said, and I will continue to say, I appreciate all of you very, very much. And I hope you all have an amazing rest of the day or night, wherever you are. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.